allowed to expire. This is, again, the area that we're really watching out for. It's going to be this area about right here that we're seeing the worst of the rain and most likely the worst of the winds here. I know some folks probably in areas near Irmo and near Ballantyne are probably watching us and saying, well, are we in this warning? And I want to show you this one more time. I'm going to take away a few things here on the map, and I'm going to take away the radar, and I'm going to just show you this warning box, okay? So areas in this red box there, don't worry about the green box, that's for a flood warning. That red box there, that would indicate, let me go over to the map. I'm going to go back up to Carl McPhee. This red box here is going to be the area of most concern and under this tornado warning. So you'll see areas here near the town of Lexington, Red Bank community, South Congaree, Casey, and Dixie-Ganna. You are under this tornado warning. This does not include St. Andrews area. This does not include Ballantyne and even Irmo. We do have some rain extending, though, into those areas, Greg.
Yeah, the National Weather Service right now reporting that this...
We have a new tornado warning?
Yeah, they're reporting, that this possible tornado is moving toward the airport at this time.
Yeah, okay.
That Red Bank tornado, that same cell that we've been watching now for the past 15 minutes that prompted the earlier warning. But, Dominus, why don't you go ahead and take this latest
okay,
warning.
So it's heading towards Columbia Metropolitan Airport at this point?
That is
correct.
correct.
So this is what the National Weather Service office is doing. They're going to go ahead and give you some lead time in Richland County. There's a tornado warning for Richland County now until 7:45. So you'll still notice that the storm that we've been tracking in Lexington County is now being extended into Richland County. So now that warning for Richland County is until 7:45 this evening. And so that's what we're tracking there. Again, if we can go back to the map, we can show you those areas that are included. That does include areas downtown Columbia. That includes areas near the fairgrounds. This will include areas in Dentsville. This will include areas for the University of South Carolina. This will include areas in Fort Jackson. This includes areas here just mainly to the north of 378 near Hoyle Hill. That's going to include areas even for us here at the station and downtown. So this is of some concern here, and even and make sure I got Lexington County, because Lexington County has been extended as well. So there are areas in Lexington County that have been extended into this tornado warning. So I don't want to forget about you. That will be Casey, that is now under this new warning. You're under the old warning, now you're under the new warning. This would be these communities here. I'm going to name them off one more time for you. Columbia, West Columbia, Casey. This is going to be for Forest Acres. Let's see here. This is also going to be for Springdale. Many of you might be getting alerts on your phone right now.
Yeah. Dominus, it might be worth looking at the rotation of this storm to see if areas of primary concern of where the storm is most intense. We were talking about this cell in Red Bank that is now moving very quickly. These storms are just kind of racing through the area. This one that we've been watching headed toward the airport right now, KC, West Columbia. You can see right there on your velocity map, Dominus. Explain to our viewers what we're seeing right now. That you're looking at that very carefully. That's something that meteorologists like to look at to pinpoint where it's worst.
Absolutely, and we look at the velocity. So we're looking at the speed of the storm, and we're also trying to look at rotation. We call it couplet to couplet there. And a lot of times when you see reds and also greens very close together, that might indicate an indication of some rotation. We might be seeing that. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is the airport, and you kind of see this large dome that's blank. That's unfortunate. That's where the radar site is at the airport, and so we probably won't get the best information from this vantage point. But what we do know is that there's still some rotation out there from the system, and this would have been, if you remember, the warning system for Lexington County that we've been talking about. That was from a funnel cloud that was reported from a spotter. Most likely, this was also extended into Richland County for much of the same, because we probably have maybe some funnel clouds or low-hanging clouds out there that look a bit ominous. And so the National Weather Service office is saying, you know what, we're going to go ahead and issue that. But look at the tight rotation with this one. So it's a little lagging behind. But overall, we've seen some pretty good indication of some rotation with this system somewhere between Lexington and Red Bank. And we have been talking about Red Bank for some folks to hunker down a bit earlier.
And you'll notice that it's just kind of following right along I-20 as it's headed straight down the interstate. It would seem that that's probably the the area of highest concentration, Red Bank, Lexington, and moving, as you would say, northeast, right on that corridor. And it's, you know, obviously people who are driving right now can't necessarily hear us, and you don't want to be on the road in a situation like this.
Not at all.
You want to make sure that you are in a safe structure, and it sounds like Richland County is under this tornado warning for another half hour. So we can expect the cell only to move further east into some of the most heavily populated areas that we've been talking about in Dominus. It would seem as though, at least in the past 15 minutes or so, things have certainly gotten more intense, as you've noted on your velocity map.
Yeah, absolutely, on the velocity map, because that's really going to help us. And I'll put it back on the rotation product for us. And it's kind of tough, but this is really going to be the area that we've seen probably the best rotation, in a sense, best indication of rotation, when you've got those purple colors and even a little pink there, indicating some strong rotation near Red Bank and Lexington, the town of Lexington there. What's happening now, though, as this system gets closer to the airport, it's very tough to look at some of the radar data there and see whether or not we have those little notches that would indicate some of the rotation in this cloud and with this cell that's moving through. But what we can tell you is that it is continuing on this track to the east at around 45 miles an hour. I want to name out a few more areas and towns for you and locations, but this is for Columbia. You are in the path of the storm. West Columbia, Casey, Forest Acres, Springdale, Dentsville, Oak Grove, Arcadia Lakes, Riverbank Zoo, Woodfield. We also have it for the State Fairgrounds, West Columbia, Riverwalk, Fort Jackson, 5 Points, Horal Hill, Olympia, Rosewood, Fort Jackson, Wildcat Road, and also the Casey Riverwalk. And we also have places along 126, 20, and 26 that we've been keeping an eye on. But again, this is going to be this area here. It's mainly, and you can kind of see it a little bit, but we're getting very close to the radar site, so it's very tough. But it's going to be this area here that will be of most concern as this system continues pushing to the east. So as you look at it a bit more, I'm going to see if I can take this off for you and just readjust the map here for you a bit too. So what we're going to do is try to look at this. Hope I can put it about right there. It'll be pretty close to it. It's not going to take it out 45 miles an hour, but I'll take it up to about 20. But this will give you a little lead time. 7:19 West Columbia, also 7:32 for Columbia, Dentsville at 7:45 and 8:05 for Fort Jackson. Again, this warning expires at 7:45.
As of right now, National Weather Service is saying that this cell is right on top of the airport as we speak. 7:15 is when they said it would arrive there. This is a very fast-moving cell. You're thinking probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40, 50 miles per hour. We have people who are right now on Twitter just kind of talking about the conditions where they are, and we certainly appreciate that. Folks in Red Bank saying that it has passed them clearly, and now as it approaches West Columbia, the airport area, if you are in that area, make sure that you are completely inside, taking shelter. This isn't something that you want to step outside and take a look at or anything like that. I mean, this is a very dangerous situation. Anytime you're talking about a tornado warning, you have flying debris perhaps, you have intense winds, and it's nothing that you want to fool with in any way, shape, or form.
And this is a concern right now because as this heads over areas near the airport and over the National Weather Service, if in fact we do get a tornado or even a funnel cloud for that matter and some rotation over the National Weather Service office, the National Weather Service office here in Columbia says that Greenville Spartanburg is on standby in case things go downhill at the Weather Service office here in Columbia at the airport. They're on standby to take over coverage and help us tell you what's happening with the story. So this is a dangerous situation for us right now.
It certainly is. We're getting some damage reports of trees down in the road, Monticello Road, I-20 at mile marker 50, as well as 1600 Juniper Springs Road. We've also had reports of power outages in that area in Lexington County. We've heard of 1,700 outages reported in Lexington County for Mid-Carolina Electric, about 2,500 for SCE&G in Lexington as well. So these storms are knocking out power and in some cases causing trees to come down. We've also heard some reports of trees down possibly in the roadway in certain areas. So if you are in in the path of these storms, make sure that you are staying safe, getting out of the way, and taking shelter. This storm cell right now, Dominus, if you could get us that track once again, and then maybe a velocity check, just so we could see where it's most intense and where it's headed.
Let's do the velocity check right here and just see if we can kind of see anything from this. And again, it's so close to the radar site that it's going to be very tough to see it, because it's really pretty much right on top of the airport and in that circle there. But let's look at the rotation mode for a second. And there's definitely, this was probably the most intense part, and you'll see it right there. And I haven't seen that here in this area since I've started working here, an indication like that. So that's going to be along Augusta. Hold on here. This is going to be along 1 and Sycamore Tree Road, Timber Mill Drive, and St. David's Church Road, seeing the worst of that rotation. And there's a little rotation even being indicated just to the northeast there over Lee Park Road and Sunny Vista Drive that we're seeing that. So this is a very dangerous situation going on in Lexington County.
So Dominus, the colors that we're seeing there, the white would be the most intense?
The white would be the most intense, even the purple. I typically have seen more blue and maybe a hint of purple from time to time. I typically don't see that white color there, so that's indicating probably some very tight rotation there. We're continuing the tornado warning. I'm just getting an update from the National Weather Service office about it. A couple quick things that I'm seeing for the National Weather Service chat here. Apparently, there are power lines down, lots of power lines down from, I think this is emergency management. This is going to be off of Two Notch and Brody Road. I'm seeing it spelled as B-R-O-D-Y Road. I don't know if that's a misspelling or not. Also, let's see here. Lexington Fire 1 apparently is saying that there could have been a touchdown somewhere, so I'm going to get some more information from the National Weather Service office. That would have been probably near Highway 6 and Industrial Drive. I am saying this I don't want you to go on the roads as I'm saying this. I'm alerting my folks in the control room and my producer about what's going on, and also you, Greg, about some of this. But it seems like there's something that's been going on in Lexington County that we need to be aware about. In some of these areas here, Lexington Fire saying this. If we can find maybe Twitter or some indications about that as well. Want to go live out?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Skycam. We can take the tower cam full. Maybe we can see what's going on, because that will be pointed towards Lexington County. And so I know it's pretty tough, but we got a lot of rain out there and some clouds too. And so we do know for a fact that it's causing maybe even some rain-wrapped tornadoes or even funnel clouds that are out there in the atmosphere, and so we need to be very mindful of that as it continues rolling through.
Yeah, that's right. And as we've been reporting, there are trees down following this cell that has been moving northeast for the past 15 minutes, and that tornado warning in effect right now, Richland County until 7:45 as it continues to make its way east. Folks in Lexington are reporting that conditions there have definitely calmed down, but for those here in Richland County, things are ramping up. And Dominus, if you could get a track where we could show specifically where this storm will be and when. We were looking out at tower cam, and it just seemed as though, you could see conditions deteriorating just a little bit outside the WIS studios. We're located on Bull Street here in downtown Columbia.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just adjusting a map for us right now. Before we do that, let me put on this rotation map. It looks like some of this rotation is headed towards areas near St. Andrews and closer to downtown Columbia. But let's put this back on and show you. Let's see here. We're going to try to put this on here and maybe track it for us as well. And let's go from about right there. Let's try that one more time. I'm going to do it one more time for us. Doing everything kind of live on TV, folks, so just bear with us for a second.
Dominus, we're hearing of a possible tornado at Riverbanks Zoo, which is right near 126, as you said, and that's what we're hearing right now. A possible tornado spotted near Riverbanks Zoo right here in downtown Columbia.
So not good news, and of course that would also line up with some of the rotation that we're seeing on our product from First Alert Radar near that St. Andrews area, most likely that we're seeing some of that rotation from the radar site and from the cell as it moves to the east at around 45 miles an hour. So that's going to take it towards Columbia. We're already downtown. We're already getting the brunt of the storm at this point. Arcadia Lakes Fort Jackson, also Leesburg area at 8:10. So as we're looking at this and what's happening for the system, I need for everybody to be aware of what's going on as it continues, again, moving to the east. Lexington, parts of Richland County. I believe, and I'm going to have to go back to the computer and just look for a second, but we're trying to make sure that we're letting you know what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And if we can go to the screen here just a sec. No, just keep it right there. Go back to can you guys go back to the tower cam? This is what we're seeing. I know a lot of you have been seeing this at home too. We're getting this right now in Columbia, and right now here at WIS, we're under a tornado warning. Okay, so I'm hopefully trying to keep everybody safe here, what's going on, but right now, even WIS is under a tornado warning. But there's some heavy rainfall that's moving through. If we can go back to the map here, right here on the green screen, what we can do is show you again. These are going to be the areas we're already seeing really the brunt of this storm here. And I know this is a little lagging behind here, but already seeing it right here for Columbia. Arcadia Lakes at 7:36, Fort Jackson at 7:54, Leesburg at 8:10, okay? So the worst of this storm will be right on top of you fairly soon, if it's not already there. I know here in downtown we can hear the rain coming down in sheets, and so it will continue on this path here, mainly to the east at around 45 miles an hour. This is a storm that you cannot play with, okay? What I need for you to do, if you are hearing the sound of our voice, if you're watching us, we need to make sure that you're going to that safe location, get away from the windows, go to the most interior portion of your home, make sure that you're taking a blanket or pillow with you, because this is a storm that is moving very quickly and you don't have a lot of time to plan at this point. Hopefully you already had your plans and you're just going and taking action for this tornado warning for your home. Interior bathroom is one of the best places, right in the bathtub. A bathroom that does not have walls or windows, excuse me, you want to put as many walls between you and the storm outdoors, but also that interior hallway or closet is going to be another place to go. Let me go back over to the map because I believe Lexington County has been out of this warning now, but I do want to take a look at it for just a second and see whether or not that if that's the case. No, Lexington County is still in it, but I think some of the worst of it is actually moving now into parts of Richland County. So I assume very soon that the National Weather Service will probably trim that back just a bit, because it looks like the worst of the storm is now over portions of Lexington County and right over Columbia.
We're also getting several reports, a possible tornado near Earlwood Park in North Columbia near Eau Claire. That has been the latest update, a possible tornado, again, not confirmed, near Earlwood Park in North Columbia near Eau Claire. Earlier, we had heard of a possible tornado located near Riverbanks Zoo. So this is the area of perhaps the worst of it at this point. And you mentioned, Dominus, that perhaps Lexington County is starting to get out of at least the worst, or at least the crosshairs of the storm.
The warning was just canceled for Lexington County, so it's only for Richland County now that we have a tornado warning until 7:45. Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, we're getting reports of damage in several areas and power outages as a result of these storms. We are told there's about 2,500 customers, SCE&G, without power right now. 1,700 Mid-Carolina customers in Lexington County are out of power. These storms are packing a pretty good punch and causing trees to come down in some areas, power lines to come down. But as we've seen, these things just kind of fire up at a moment's notice and can sometimes pick up and diminish in intensity. But we're going to watch this cell in particular, Dominus, because it sounds like North Columbia right now is an area of primary concern.
North Columbia right now, it looks like that we have the heaviest of the rain and likely the strongest of the winds. And if you remember what we talked about a bit earlier, we were hearing reports of damage and even a funnel cloud in Lexington County, and getting that update from the National Weather Service office that there's been reports of a possible tornado and damage in parts of Lexington County. And that's one of the reasons that the Weather Service decided to extend that into Richland County, because it doesn't take much for a tornado to develop. It doesn't take much for a funnel cloud to move all the way to the ground and cause a tornado, okay? And sometimes these tornadoes will come in contact with trees or even homes and buildings, and what they'll do, they'll kind of come up in the sky a little bit, and they'll do a skip and a hop along a building and still cause damage. And then by the time they reach that ground and they have that path of least resistance, they go back down to the ground and continue doing damage until they lose their support. And so as we get, probably, I'm sure the National Weather Service will likely send out teams, if it's not tonight, most likely tomorrow, to let us know what's actually happening with these systems and possible tornadoes, and a look at some of the damage as well.
As we take a look at Skycam, you can see that's the situation here in downtown Columbia, at least from our Skycam, looking much better.
Yeah.
In just the past several minutes as that cell moved through, a tornado warning issued for Richland County for the next 20 minutes or so as this storm just races through areas of downtown Columbia and is now working its way northeast. And Dominus, that warning is in effect until 7:45, so about 20 minutes or so. Folks in the path of the storm, make sure that you are taking shelter and taking every possible precaution to stay safe.
And when we look at that tower cam, Greg, just think about it. A few minutes ago, it looked like the world was coming to an end.
Yeah.
It did. And it sounded like the world was coming to an end. Look how quick that has now passed by most of downtown, especially WIS, and now it's farther to the east toward northeast Columbia. So we're seeing now some of the heaviest of the rain with this system pushing farther to the northeast. That's going to take it toward areas like the Dentsville area, all right, near Columbia Mall. We're also seeing some heavy rainfall through areas in Killian. But I want to show you this even from the National Weather Service office. This is the warning, okay? So this is a warning box right now for the area. That red box that you see there, it does include areas in Pontiac and Dentsville, even Fort Jackson. As we put the radar back on, it looks like some of the heaviest of that rain is definitely over areas near Dentsville. And also, let me show you this rotation again just to see, because it looks like it's getting a little bit better. It's getting a little bit better in that direction, I think. And as you look at the purples and even the whites there, that's a little late in the game there, okay? This storm is moving. It's moving quickly, okay? So the radar is having a hard time. Our products are having a hard time to pick up on what's going on there. But the worst, let me show you what's happening. You'll see this. Okay, you'll see that the worst of it is actually over areas in Dentsville. So it is definitely not good to be outside at this point. It's not good to be in the car at this point. Let's zoom into some areas here, and we can pick up on some streets in northeast Columbia, and we can show you what's going on here that we're seeing some of the worst of this rain that's moving through, and most likely, again, some gusty winds with this tornado warning that continues for Richland County until 7:45. Right now, it's about 7:28. And so you'll see North Trentham Road, Arcadia Lakes near the Dentsville area, that we're seeing some very heavy rain, likely gusty winds as well. We need to be mindful that we are under a tornado warning, so go to that safe location. Also seeing Faraway Drive right here. That's Omega Drive 2, and you'll see Arcadia Road, Shakespeare Road, Claudia Drive, Crystal Drive, seeing some very heavy rain right now. But again, we've had gusty winds, and we've had reports of tornado damage and reports of funnel sightings in parts of Richland County and even Lexington County. And so we need to take this very seriously. Of course, you talk about Lexington and Richland counties, very populated. So this is one of the reasons why we are on television right now, to keep everybody updated and keep you as safe as possible as this system continues rolling through. Again, moving to the east at around, I believe, 35 miles an hour now. So it has kind of slowed down a little bit. It's not quite as strong as it was. But again, this is going to be the areas that we nearly need to be looking out for. Even these areas here in, let's talk about these spots, okay? So a few more roads. How about areas? Let me see if I can get rid of that one for you. He wants to kind of stay on the screen for me, but that's all right. We'll go with it. All right, so Dentsville and even areas here in northeast Columbia, we're seeing areas near Hardscrabble Road and Killian Road getting some heavy rainfall. You are not under the tornado warning right now, but we still have some heavy rainfall that's moving through. I do want to remind everybody, though, that we are still under a tornado watch, or at least parts of the area under a tornado watch until, let's see here, that's going to be until 11 o'clock tonight. So you see those areas there. That's going to take it from Columbia, for Richland County, Lexington County, Calhoun, Orangeburg County, Manning, Sumter, and Lee counties there, and over areas in the low country still under that tornado watch until about 11 o'clock tonight.
And Dominus, we wanted to point out that there are some possible tornadoes reported. At least we have people who are watching conditions right outside their homes and talking about what they've seen. A possible tornado reported on Cox Ferry Road in Lexington. We're hearing a possible Earl Wood Park, and again,
just like a tornado can do. It really can. Sometimes worse in some situations, but a lot of times you have straight line wind damage. You may go out and you'll see like all the trees are in one direction, whereas a tornado, you might see a tree that's twisted, or you might see debris wrapped around the tree, something of that nature, twisted in that type of motion. That would indicate a tornado. But still, power outages, we talked about that even when I joined you this morning for the morning show at 10 a.m. this morning. Gusty winds, power outages will be a likelihood with the system. And so hopefully for the folks who are watching us on your mobile device, I'm charging mine up right now, okay? But I ask folks to charge up your mobile devices today just in case we do have warnings to come up and you do have power outages. You can still stay in touch with us here at WIS on our mobile apps, and we will let you know what's happening with this storm.
Yeah, also very important to exercise a lot of safety whenever the power does go out. Make sure that you're using your candles safely. You know, you don't want to cause any more problems inside your home. Make sure you're using flashlights. And, you know, Dominus, here we are into March. You don't want to say it. We're only a couple of months away from, as we know, hurricane season, but this is really a good primer. Once we get into the spring months, anytime these tornadoes can fire up, anytime you have severe weather, it's important to have that emergency kit ready to go. And also make sure that you have a plan for your family to make sure that you're safe should anything like this happen. Now, Dominus, I have to commend you. It's just such a great job with forecasting all of this throughout the week. We said that Sunday would certainly be a day that we've been looking out for it. And Dominus actually pinpointed the time when this would happen. He said it would be between 6 and 9 o'clock would be the time to do it. So there you go. Right about 6 o'clock is when this all started to fire.
And let me tell you, when I was on this morning, we saw that indications that it would start even earlier for our western counties at 4 o'clock. Bam, right at 4 o'clock, we saw rain and thunderstorms developing in Newberry and Saluda counties, and for the heart of the Midlands between 6 and 9. And so that's what's happening with that. Thank you, Greg, for that. I really appreciate it. But that's one of the reasons why we give you these first alerts. Sometimes these first alerts will create days just like this. And we want to make sure that you have that plan of action like you were just talking about, Greg, because during situations like this, it's different from a hurricane. Okay, hurricane, we track these for days on end. We can track a storm that's named, you know, Gregory, that's moving over the ocean for several days on end. With a thunderstorm like this that creates a tornado, it can happen very fast, very quickly. You don't have a lot of time to think, and hopefully you have everything you need to pile everybody in the bathtub, pile everybody in the basement so they can stay as safe as possible. But you also bring up a very good point here that this is March, and this is typically the start of severe weather season. Although it is still winter, we have a cold front that's moving through the area right now, and the clash of warm and cold together, they don't like each other, okay? Cold and warm don't like each other. And so that's oftentimes why we see this happening, and you get severe weather like this creating some problems in the area. And so that's why we're keeping you updated. So that severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of Richland County, even for Kershaw and Sumter counties. That's until 8 o'clock tonight.
All right, yep. We're going to return to regularly scheduled programming, but make sure that you're tuned in to all of our social media, the WIS Facebook page, also on Twitter, WIS TV, and we'll have complete coverage for you as we continue a tornado watch in our area until 11 o'clock. We'll have complete updates for you on your news at 11, any sort of damage as a result of these possible tornadoes that moved through this area. Certainly a very active weather night. Make sure you stay tuned to WIS News 10 for the very latest updates. We'll send you back to regular programming.
We're not as strong, and the actual salsa flavor and moves for me wasn't there. I need that to be worked on. But I will say this, that I noticed Jorge was living his best life.
Yes.
He was just like, he was